This is the Wikipedia page for Shi Yan Ming. You're listening to the podcast where we read Wikipedia pages and provide commentary. Welcome to WikiListen. I'm Victor Varnado, KSN.
And I'm Rachel Teichman, LMSW.
This is a great Wikipedia page. This guy is on the show Superhumans. That's how good he is at martial arts. He's like your typical monk that you might see in a movie as the final boss. Let's check him out.
Is he the guy who walks on fire?
I don't know, but I bet he could.
Amazing.
Let's do it. Shi Yan Ming, born Duan Jinshan, February 13th, 1964, is a 34th generation Shaolin Warrior Monk, teacher, and actor, best known as the founder of the USA Shaolin Temple. Trained at the Shaolin Temple in Henan People's Republic of China, PRC, since the age of 5, Shi Yan Ming came to the United States in 1992 before opening the USA Shaolin Temple in Manhattan, where he has taught hundreds of students, including numerous celebrities. He has made various media appearances in television, film, and print, including National Geographic, PBS, History, Time Magazine, and the 1999 American samurai action film Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai.
34th generation, that's crazy.
That's a lot. You're not even 34 years old.
Are you telling the people my secrets?
Is it a secret?
It is now. Early life. Shi Yan Ming was born Duan Jinshan in Zumadian in Henan Province, China, or Chinese New Year's, February 13th, 1964, the year of the dragon, the seventh of 9 children. His father grew up in a family so poor that they were essentially homeless and begged for food door to door. Duan's father, who never went to school, slept under a wood-burning stove or would dig a hole in a stack of wheat for warmth. Despite these hardships, he taught himself to be a very literate reader, writer, and calligrapher. Duan's mother's family was slightly better off financially. As was typical, she was not educated either, had her feet bound, and was raised solely to be a mother and housewife. Duan's parents eventually acquired jobs for the Chinese government under Mao, and worked underground as telex operators.
Prior to his birth, 2 of Duan's older brothers and 1 older sister died of starvation in Mao Zedong's Great Leap Forward in the late 1950s. Duan himself almost died when he was approximately 2 or 3 years old, prompting his parents to spend all their money on numerous doctors and his father to sell his special calligraphy pen. Doctors eventually gave up on him, and after thinking their 7th child had died, his parents wrapped him in blankets, intending to throw him away, before being stopped by an acupuncturist outside their village who saw them crying and performed acupuncture on the infant Jinshan, who promptly recovered. Yan Ming believes the man was a bodhisattva sent by Buddha to save his life.
Martial arts career. In China. In 1969, the 5-year-old Duan's Buddhist parents, still worried about his health, took him to the 1,500-year-old Shaolin Temple, the only remains of which, after repeated destruction by warring dynasties and the current government, were the foundation and some walls. The temple as it is known today was reconstructed around the turn of the 21st century. As this was the middle of the Cultural Revolution, the familiar red and yellow robes and shaved heads were also not present among the monks, and would not be until approximately 1980, after the Cultural Revolution ended. Since there had not been an abbot at the temple in about 300 years, Duan was taken to the head monk, Shi Yan, who would later be appointed abbot in 1986. Shi Yan, whom Duan addressed as Shigang, Grandmaster, or Shifu, Master's Master, looked at the young Duan and accepted him into the temple, where his parents were happy to leave him. As soon as he was accepted in the temple, which was populated by about 16 or 17 monks, all of them older than Duan, most of them in their 70s, his name was changed to Shi Yan Ming. The name is derived from Shi, as in Shakyamuni, the founder of Buddhism, a family name that Buddhist monks of this tradition take in order to denote that they follow Buddha, Yan, which denotes the 34th generation at the Shaolin Temple, and Ming, which means perpetual, as in the infinite cycle of the Dharma wheel. She says that his kung fu uncles at the temple were very loving and took care of him as his own parents would, though they did not live there all the time, for fear of marauding gangs of Nao's Red Guard, and therefore she saw his parents often.
She immediately started learning Kung Fu, Chan Buddhism, and acupuncture from his masters. Li Jinyi and Xin Ping An, who were Shaolin disciples living outside the temple rather than monks because of the open nature of the temple where people could come and go easily, he says he learned to read people. Despite his training, Shi also amused himself by playing pranks on his masters, who would punish him either with beatings or by making him do the horse stance until his legs were numb and swollen, or making him do headstands until the blood draining into his head caused pain. Shi's daily routine consisted of awakening at 4:30 a.m. to practice for 2 hours, followed by a breakfast of steamed tofu and vegetables, prayer, meditation or relaxation for an hour, and then another 3.5 hours of practice. This would be followed by more prayer, Buddhism studies, and cleaning or other temple work. Although Shaolin monks do not necessarily follow the practice of other monks who do not eat past noon, those at the temple would eat a lunch of noodles, rice, or mantau at 11:30 a.m. out of respect to monks visiting from other temples. After an hour of relaxation, she would practice and pray again from 1 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., followed by dinner, more relaxation, and more practice until 10 p.m. From then until 4 a.m., the monks would work in shifts to check the temple's incense. The monks slept on a piece of wood with a blanket on it, sometimes using their clothes for pillows, which she says is good for the back compared to American beds, which he says are too comfortable. Why is he throwing shade at American beds? Although Shi met his Buddhism Shifu, Shi Yan Ming, almost immediately after entering the temple, he did not begin seriously studying with him until he was about 14 or 15. Because the temple did not have running water, the monks had to transport it from mountain rivers just outside the temple, draw it from a well, and collect the rainwater. When the temple acquired running water in 1986, the monks were dissatisfied because under the system of feng shui, digging up the ground and laying in pipe was, as she puts it, akin to cutting your veins out. During the cold winter months, bathing was restricted to washing selected body parts rather than immersion in or underwater. Even today, the temple only has cold water.
I wonder if that was like a government thing that they were forced to have running water.
I don't know. I think maybe it was just a modernization thing. I'm sure there were monks who were like, we should do this, and other monks were like, we shouldn't.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, and she, obviously, he thinks, he is named Shi, thinks that they shouldn't have done it, but there are other monks who are like, come on, man, stop. I don't want to walk up a hill every time we need a glass of water. I'm sure.
Yeah. In 1980, a young Jet Li arrived at the temple to shoot his feature film debut, Shaolin Temple. Though she barely noticed him at the time, the film's 1982 release was a major turning point for the temple, which experienced a significant increase in tourism. This in turn resulted in more positive attention to the temple by the Chinese government, which rebuilt the building, and in a change to the monks' daily routine so that they could accommodate the tourists. Around this time, when she was 16, his parents, who held stressful jobs and were heavy smokers, died of lung cancer within 6 months of each other. She would then take care of his younger brother while his older brothers would take care of the younger siblings, with whom she is still in contact today.
In 1985, she won the 65-kilogram, 147-pound championship in the Jian National Sparring Competition. He also won the championship in the annual Shaolin Disciples Competition 3 years in a row, 1988 to 1990. And was vice coach of the Shaolin Temple Fighting Monks at Henan.
In 1992, she, who had won many national martial arts competitions, was chosen to be among a group of select Shaolin monks invited by the American Kung Fu Association to tour the United States, the first such tour for the Shaolin to spread the knowledge of Shaolin Kung Fu.
This is the Wikipedia page for Shi Yan Ming, Part 1. If you have a Wikipedia page that you want us to read, let us know. Thanks for listening to WikiListen. To support the show, go to patreon.com/WikiListenPodcast and find us on social media at WikiListen and at wikilisten.com.